Hi guys, it's Austin here. I'm going to be going over 5 minute fantasy week 5 quarterbacks. The first quarterback that I'm going to say I think is doing well this week, Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan off a bye. They've had a lot of time to prepare for Cleveland. They took a look at the Baltimore Cleveland game. They saw what worked, what didn't. Cleveland, they're going to be putting a lot of emphasis on rushing the passer, and I think that that's going to give Garoppolo a lot of opportunity to get those short dumps, to that big group of running backs that he has. Look for a big game from him this week. Same thing for Josh Allen for the same reasons. I think that, Tennessee, they've had problems with different possession receivers, and that's basically all that Tennessee has. Look for a lot of, short intermediate passes. Look for a lot of scrambling from Josh Allen, as he's used to. Tennessee hasn't played a legit offense yet this year. I know they just kind of shut down Atlanta, but Atlanta's having a different set of problems on their own. Look for Josh Allen to have a bigger than expected week. Kirk Cousins. I know there's a lot of garbage, being thrown at Kirk Cousins right now. I really think that he's an underrated quarterback in the NFL. People are talking about him like he's one of the worst quarterbacks to ever start. Forget the guaranteed money. Kirk Cousins last year gave both Stephon Diggs and not Keenan Allen and Adam Thielen their best receiving years they've ever had. Okay, this year they've really been forcing the ball to Dalvin Cook, but look for legit scoring opportunities with him against the Giants. I feel like the Giants are going to be putting up some points on a Minnesota Vikings secondary that isn't looking as good as it used to. Jameis Winston. As soon as Bruce Arians went to Tampa Bay, I was really confused for the sole fact that I always thought that Jameis Winston really wasn't worth much as a quarterback. But Bruce Arians wanted to take on the project, and after coaching guys like Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, Carson Palmer, now he's working on Jameis Winston. And the longer he spends with this offense, Jameis Winston has gotten better every single week so far. Look for a big game against the New Orleans Saints, who so far have been able to stop Seattle and Dallas, but I think they're going to have a hard time stopping Tampa Bay. And another good week I expect is going to be from Jared Goff. I think that Jared Goff, with the absence of Todd Gurley, having a good presence in the lineup, I think a lot is being asked of Jared Goff, and I know he threw 3 interceptions last week, but he also threw the ball almost 70 times, which is ridiculous. So, that's almost 3 games worth of passes. Look for a much more restricted game. Think about something like 250 yards and 2 touchdowns from Jared Goff this week. Week 5 bust quarterback, Dak Prescott. For the sole fact that Green Bay's rushing defense has been pretty horrible so far, and I really think that Ezekiel Elliott is going to be in for a big breakout game. Green Bay and Dallas, they've been going back and forth at it the last couple of years, and I think that the athleticism of Green Bay's secondary combined with Dallas's running attack against Green Bay is going to really help shut down Dak Prescott for this game. Russell Wilson, I expect him to have an underwhelming game. He's had a pretty decent start to the season, but look for the Rams with Wade Phillips to have a comeback game, especially defensively. After you give up 60 points to Tampa Bay, that's kind of embarrassing. This is going to be a divisional game. It's really important. Look for Russell Wilson to be slowed down this week. Baker Mayfield, I think that the defense, specifically the defensive line that San Francisco has, they've got, I think, 4 or 5 first-round picks on the defensive line. That's really going to, damage, Baker Mayfield's chances at having a decent week. The Cleveland Browns offensive line has been extremely underwhelming so far this year. Ever since they traded away, their best lineman to the Giants, I forget his name, but it was in the Vernon Davis trade. They haven't been able to stop any pressure. So look for guys like Solomon Thomas and Nick Bosa to really be getting after Baker Mayfield. Another bust this week, I think, is going to be Phillip Rivers against Denver. Denver has a pretty good pass defense still, although with both Bradley Chubb is out, and Chris Harris, he's been asking out of the team. So he could quietly have an efficient game, but Denver has a pretty bad running defense. So look for a big game again from Austin Eckler. Don't be worried about Melvin Gordon coming back. And look for an easy game that they want to, bring Melvin Gordon back into, NFL, type competition. And then my last bust quarterback for this week is going to be Lamar Jackson. I don't want to beat up on the guy, but it seems as though, Cleveland sort of set the blueprint to how to stop them this year, the same way that, the Chargers did last year. After they saw him for the first time, they played that 7 defensive back defensive set, against them in the playoffs, and it really shut him down. Look for the same thing against Pittsburgh this week. Pittsburgh has a lot of the same defensive standards, a lot of the same defensive sets that Cleveland can do with the pass rush, and Minka Fitzpatrick is really bringing everything down in. So look for another slow game from Lamar Jackson this week.